With another update on our breaking news, where the Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after another Instagram Live video surfaced, apparently showing him with a handgun. Morant served an 8-game suspension in March after he displayed a handgun during an early morning Instagram Live session from a Denver area strip club. After Memphis was eliminated from the playoffs, Morant said off-the-court distractions hurt the team, and he has to, quote, be better with my decision-making, unquote. This latest video was posted yesterday. The last time Morant was shown in a video with a gun, he ended up being away from the team for about 2.5 weeks. In between, he entered a counseling program and met with Commissioner Adam Silver. Ultimately, he was handed an 8-game suspension. The Grizzlies saying in their statement that they were aware of this latest video, and Morant's current suspension was pending a league review. Now, on March 15th, after meeting with Commissioner Silver, Morant talked about himself and his inner circle with our Jalen Rose, saying, quote, I feel like in the past, we didn't know what was at stake. And now finally me having that time to realize everything, having that time alone, I realize that now. I realize what I have to lose. And for us as a group, what we have to lose. It's pretty much just that being more responsible, more smarter, and staying away from all the bad decisions. It's not who I am. I take full responsibility for my actions. I made a bad mistake. I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm going to show everybody who Ja really is, what I'm about, and change this narrative that everybody got. News into SportsCenter. Another Instagram Live video has surfaced, apparently showing Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant with a handgun. Morant served an 8-game suspension in March after he displayed a handgun during an early morning Instagram Live session from a Denver area strip club. After Memphis was eliminated from the playoffs, Morant said off-the-court distractions hurt the team, and he has to, quote, be better with my decision-making, unquote. This latest video was posted yesterday. The last time Morant was shown in a video with a gun, he ended up being away from the game for about 2.5 weeks. In between, he entered a counseling program and met with Commissioner Adam Silver. Ultimately, he was handed an 8-game suspension. There has been no comment on the latest video from the NBA or from the Memphis Grizzlies.
To be efficient, getting into the painted area, finding his teammates, and also scoring. Tyrese Maxey has to be youthful and exuberant, getting out in passing lanes, getting steals, and also knocking down threes. And then when you think about Joel Embiid, he has to have a MVP legendary performance and put his team on his back to be able to carry him to a win in Game 7.
Of course, we'll see what happens today at 3:30 Eastern. Today, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. This will be the 8th consecutive Game 7 between Philadelphia and Boston, the second most common matchup in a Game 7 in NBA, NHL, and MLB history. The Celtics won 5 of those previous 7 meetings. The 76ers are seeking their first conference finals appearance since 2001. Since then, the Sixers have played 4 games in which they had a chance to clinch a conference finals berth, but lost them all. For the Celtics, they are seeking their second straight conference finals appearance, getting them one step closer to a record 18th NBA title, which would break a tie with the Lakers for the most all time. So for more on the 76ers ahead of Game 7, we welcome in our Tim Bontemps. All right, Tim, I know you've been covering Philly for a good chunk of the season. Why are they confident going into Game 7 this afternoon?
Well, for starters, Christine, because they think they did a lot of things right in Game 6. While the Sixers went 8 for 34 from three-point range compared to 15 for 35 for Boston, Philly thought a lot of those shots were good. Clean, wide-open looks that they just missed. P.J. Tucker missed a bunch in the corner. George Niang missed a few. DeAnthony Melton, who's been a terrific shooter all year, missed a bunch, especially in the fourth quarter. And the Sixers have said since that Game 6 loss Thursday night that if they come out and make shots in this Game 7, they feel confident they can come away from this game with a victory and move on, as you said, to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2001. The other part of this that's a factor too, Christine, is the fact that this team has already won here twice in this series. Did so in Game 1 without Joel Embiid, and then they completely dominated the game from start to finish in Game 5. So they feel like they can come back here to Boston, get another win in Game 7, and finally get back to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, so if the 76ers win today, it would be fitting. Tell us why May 14th is significant for Joel Embiid's team.
Well, 10 years ago today, Christine, Sam Hinkie was introduced as the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers. And while a whole lot has happened since then, the idea of trust the process was born that day when Sam Hinkie came in. And as we know, a year later, the Sixers drafted Joel Embiid with the 3rd overall pick. Now, Embiid is still introduced as Joel the Process Embiid at Sixers games. He's talked a lot about Sam Hinkie over the years, has joked about the process at many points, but when Sam Hinkie was introduced, he said that getting superstars is the number one thing that leads to winning championships. That was his entire mantra when he ran the team. He built the team around trying to get high picks in the draft. Embiid was the centerpiece of that plan. And today, in Game 7, 10 years later, Embiid has a chance to finally deliver the Sixers past the second round of the playoffs and give them a chance at their first championship in 40 years.
Hopefully that May 14th date gives them some good vibes, because Joel Embiid is 0-2 in Game 7s in his career. He lost to Atlanta in 2021 and in 2019 to the Raptors on Kawhi's buzzer beater that, of course, you guys cannot forget. Tim, always great to have you. Thank you for joining SportsCenter.
All right, more on this series going by the numbers on the Boston Celtics, who are shooting 39% from beyond the arc this postseason, the best by any team, and on pace to be their 3rd best in a single postseason in franchise history. The Celtics are 7-2 when they make more than 12 threes in these playoffs. Jason Tatum has had some slow starts to games this series, but has been great down the stretch, averaging 8 points a game in the 4th quarter, twice as many points as he is scoring in the 1st quarter. And the Celtics, well, they are 26-9 in Game 7s in franchise history, the most wins and best win percentage all time by any team with multiple Game 7 appearances. That includes 3 straight wins in that situation. Our Jamal Collier has been with Boston for this series. Jamal, the Celtics are solid in Game 7s, but have not been great at home this series. What are Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown saying ahead of today's game at TD Garden?
Yeah, Jay, it's not just in this series they've struggled at home. Really, in the last few years in the postseason, they're just 10-10 at the Garden and in the playoffs the last few years. And that's why Jaylen Brown really kind of called out fans to bring some extra energy to the Garden here for this Game 7. To carry them through the rest of this game. They know it's going to be an intense game, a physical game against Philly. And at this point, when you've got teams that have sort of know each other really well, have played all their cards in this kind of Game 7, they're looking for any extra edge or motivation, I think, to carry them over. So we asked Joe Mazzulla about that kind of struggling home record at practice the other day. And, he mentioned that sometimes it's just easier to be on the road and you have less distractions. You kind of can just focus on the guys in your traveling party. But this is a Game 7. They know the intensity is going to be there. They know that this is kind of the time to go win or go home. And I think that, for Boston, any kind of advantage they can have with the fans, with the crowd, I think they're looking for here to close the series out.
You mentioned Joe Mazzulla. Let's stick with him for a second. He made an adjustment and started Rob Williams in Game 6. What's the plan for Williams today?
Yeah, I think that players and coaches, everybody was really excited about Rob being back in the starting lineup, and I would expect them to just continue that lineup here going into Game 7. He just really opens things up defensively for Boston and makes them so much more versatile. He was playing off of P.J. Tucker, able to kind of roam around the paint, get back to some of the things they did last season when this was their starting lineup that carried them to the finals. And they really didn't play that lineup almost at all this season. Rob was hurt, coming off the bench for most of the year, but once he got back in there, they just picked it up like where they left off from last year. And he just really made everything difficult in the paint for Philly. Al Horford talked about the way that having Rob in there really just lightens the load on him defensively and just gives their team just a much better defensive identity here. So players are all excited. They're ecstatic about Joe for making the change. And I think that the Celtics feel like that was a huge key for them in Game 6, and they think it'll be a key for them to carry them in Game 7 as well.
Yeah, give him an